Welcome to Gaia's Love, a podcast of brief messages to help humanity bridge the gap to the new earth. My name is Vivienne Gerard. It is my delight to be a scribe for consciousness today, sharing the wisdom that flows through from Source. Here we go. Episode 88. It is Wednesday today, the Wednesday after an incredibly beautiful weekend. I am sitting looking out the window at a very gray winter day with our first winter storm arriving tomorrow. We have snow advisories and ice advisories, and I think every teacher and student is praying for a snow day tomorrow. So we will see. It's good to be back. I missed this space. And I also really enjoyed taking a little bit of a break and stepping into some incredibly tender and powerful community space. I'm going to post some pictures and share some of what happened over the 11/11 portal weekend here in our home on Facebook and Instagram. So if you aren't in those spaces with me yet, perhaps look at the comments, get the links, and go over and check out some of the magic. Sometimes pictures will share the stories in ways that even my voice can't, and it was beautiful. It was a beautiful weekend of many people opening their hearts in ways that perhaps are new or a little unfamiliar, long forgotten. So it took me a little time to recover. Yesterday I thought I was going to dive right into work and emails and catch up on social media, and I didn't. I took a nap, I took a bath, I meditated, I journaled, I cleaned my house, I got some groceries. It was just a time to land back in my own energy field and drop back all the way in. So today's title for the podcast, I came in my meditation and then I had an email from a friend that just validated this is exactly what's going on. So it's titled Completing Cycles. And of course, when I realized we're on number 88, I'm like, how perfect, because 8 is the symbol of infinity. It is the movement from one end of a continuum all the way around and looping through back to where it started and then continuing again, just this endless flow of one to the next, to the next, to the next. And I thought at first that I would be focusing on life, birth, death, birth, life, death, rebirth, which is a Sanskrit chant. I thought I would be focusing on that, and the infinity symbol captures it without even needing the words. It is an endless, repetitive movement as a soul from one experience right into the next, and then looping around to complete what needs to be completed and coming back. It's just this constant cycle. And when we are in our human journeys, we believe in this finite, limited cycle. You're born, you live, you die. It's what we see, it's what we experience, it's what we believe. And so we are very narrow in our focus of what our cycles are. So for example, the cycle that we may be exploring is, in my childhood I had this wounding, and so I need to complete that wounding before I die. That's perhaps the cycle we might be exploring. If I've been looking at how I was ignored, I want to complete the cycle so that I don't ignore others, or so that I don't feel ignored. And so we're very limited. We're just looking at this one lifetime. What I'm describing in today's podcast is completing cycles at a soul level. Way bigger. Way bigger. So if you can imagine, if you're looking at a timeline and you look at the year you were born and the year we're in now, and perhaps the year you expect you might complete this life and go back to being a soul. Maybe it's 70, 80, 90 years that we span. Imagine you can pull your viewfinder way back, and suddenly you're looking at a timeline that's thousands of years long, wide. Hundreds of thousands of years, because time is not something we can understand when we look at it through a limited human lens. We believe it's 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, these numbers we can count. When you look at it from a soul perspective, that timeline actually goes around you and then loops into a figure 8 and comes back around and then comes back to where it started and then continues. It's not a straight line. And when you feel your soul in that perspective, and you just ponder, you just sit with completing cycles at a soul level, it is so much more expansive than what's happening right here in this one lifetime that you're experiencing as a human. It's so much bigger than that. So what I'm describing is how we as souls have this opportunity at this time, on this planet, in these bodies, to complete cycles that we have been moving through for many lifetimes, for many experiences. Being here in a human body on earth right now, when consciousness is having this this explosion of growth, we can do so much healing, so much completing and releasing. So what does that look like in human terms? Well, it means so much. I'm like, how do I even try and summarize this? We'll give a couple examples. One is in relationships. So if we're exploring a cycle as a soul in this figure 8 form, then there are souls that you have been with in other lifetimes, in other dimensions, perhaps on other planets, whatever your belief system is. You have spent time and space and connection with these souls in other ways than what is currently just happening right here. What is possible now is that whatever interactions or lessons were created when you have known those souls before, now, here, in this lifetime, you get to complete whatever that cycle was. So some people perhaps call this karma. I feel like karma has a negative connotation to it. Like, you did something to me, so I've got to do something to you, so we even it out. It isn't that. What I'm describing is a cycle of growth, of love, of evolution, of expansion. You go from one end of a spectrum all the way around to the opposite end, and you return back to where you started more than you were before. That's the cycle I'm describing. So if you are here in this human lifetime and you have a relationship that has been traumatic in this lifetime, odds are you've experienced that traumatic energy with that soul at some other place or time before. And so you are coming around and healing the trauma here, plus healing the trauma where it originally started. And perhaps that means you played opposite roles. So in this time right here, you may be the victim. in the cycle you're completing, you may have been the perpetrator, and you may have been the victim before that, and the perpetrator before that, and you have moved through the continuum with that soul in all these different ways. What is possible now, and by now I mean in this moment as I'm recording this, in this moment as you happen to be hearing it, in this moment 5 months when you hear this, in this moment 5 years from now when you hear this, in the moment, there is the possibility of the completion of that cycle. And the completion happens simply in the acknowledging that first, yes, there is a cycle with the soul, and second, I choose to complete it. It is that simple. You don't have to do huge, big ceremonial experiences and enormous conversations and long apologetic letters. It doesn't have to be any of that. It is a knowing inside of you that there is a cycle that exists with this soul, and you honor all of it. And you choose to complete it. And in that choice, it is completed. And then you release it, and you come back to love. Because every soul that makes an agreement to go into a pattern or a dance with another soul, there's always an agreement at the very beginning. We begin with love and we end with love. And wherever our journey is going to take us as we're moving through the cycle, that's what we are agreeing to do. But we will always return to love. Period. Exclamation mark. Always. So when you are completing a cycle with another soul and you make the choice to complete it, what comes into the space then is love. And it's not conditional, like, I will forgive you and love you, and then you forgive and you love me. No. It's an acknowledgement. We had the cycle is complete, and my soul and your soul love each other. And who knows what next cycle we might begin together. But this one is complete. There's no hanging on, no gripping, no needing to justify or explain or defend or any of that. Like, that's human. That's the human shit. And it doesn't have to play out like that. I mean, it can, and you can keep looping through the cycle, and the cycle is not complete. Or you acknowledge it. You complete it, and you return to love. You will feel it in your body. You will feel it to the tips of your fingertips, to the bottoms of your feet. You will feel it tingling in your head, in your scalp. You will feel it in your body when you simply complete the cycle and return to love. So that's one example, right? The example of completing a cycle is with another soul. The other example I offer is completing a cycle within yourself. So what that means is there's perhaps a lesson that you have been exploring or dancing with in this lifetime, where you know you have looped, you have spun in the washing machine of that story over and over and over, and you keep pulling people in who justify that that's true and confirm that you know this about yourself, and blah, 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 blah. You just go round and round and round and round. And so you play out the loop in a million different ways. Perhaps that is addiction. So you may be addicted to food, or to exercise, or to alcohol, or to drugs, or to work, or to cheating, or to projection of anger, or to pride, or you could be addicted to a million things. You know that feeling where you are cycling, you are doing the same thing you've always done, and it drives you crazy, but you don't know how to step out of it. That's the cycle I'm describing. The way to shift any cycle is to become aware of it. So when you feel that feeling in your body that says, I'm doing that thing I hate that I do again, pause. Stop whatever you're doing and pause and breathe. Step out of it. Perhaps you have to leave the room. Perhaps you have to sit down if you've been laying. You have to stand up if you've been sitting. Perhaps you have to go outside if you've been inside. Somehow shift, step out of the loop physically, mentally. Step out of it. And then look at what you are witnessing from a different perspective. Look at the cycle that is playing out and be curious, like, why do I do that? What is that about? Where did that come from? What is happening? Imagine you can pull your viewfinder further back. So instead of looking at just this lifetime, perhaps you go, why would my soul be playing with this cycle of addiction of whatever this is? I wonder what there is to know. When you can pause and look at the cycle with curiosity, with compassion, with objectiveness, you're going to find something out that you didn't see before. And then you meditate, or you journal, or you walk with the trees, or you share with a friend who you know can reflect appropriately to you your truth. And then you shift, you complete the way you used to do it. Don't do it that way anymore. Do something different. Try a different response. Complete the cycle. Do it in a new way. And fill yourself with love. Return to loving yourself. And see what happens. Have compassion at a soul level for what you are trying to do in a human body, in a human lifetime. Release whatever is ready to be released and return to love. It may take several times, many times, hundreds of times for you to do that, but every time you pause and look at it differently, you will heal something at a soul level. You will complete part of that cycle until eventually that cycle is totally complete. And that ripples out to everyone around you. That ripples out into every relationship you're in. Lots to ponder. Lots to ponder. The energy of this new moon in Scorpio is supporting us completing cycles at such a deep level. Cycles within ourselves and cycles within our relationship with others. We can go so deep right now to really let go of old gunk. So try, do it, see what happens. See what happens. And then return to love. This 8 symbol, 88 infinite, it is a symbol of love. Thank you for tuning in to today's vibration. Let's take this message of pure love out into all of our communities and continue expanding love here on Gaia. So much love from my heart to yours.